Hey guys, what's going on? I just want to recap my time at MegaCon. It was a blast, met a lot of people, everyone was nice and friendly, and it was just a really good time. It's also great to play with a lot of other people from like Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami that are really good players that we never get to see. So it's really nice to have everyone around and have some good games. It was a blast. I just want to say thanks again to Rob for holding the event. He did a great job running the event, so thank you very much. The rest of the video is going to recap my teams that I built or pulled and sealed in draft and talk about the rest of the event. So for the first event we had was a 500 point Golden Age, 0 range, no feats. And this was the team I came up with. It is 10 figures, but as you can see I have 13 because of the 3 different Beast Boy forms he can change into, and I think this was a pretty good choice. There was a few things that it's lacking, and you might be able to tell right off the bat, but there is not a lot of damage reducers. Now that was the main thing with this team, because in tournaments, which I found out really quickly when we were planning for the thing and people were making, you know, some slight adjustments, we were all talking and having a good time, and everyone was discussing, you know, using the gauntlet with the soul gem or using the gamma bomb. And it came up that, you know, a gamma bomb on this team would pretty much completely destroy it. So I had to plan against that, which I really wasn't even thinking about until the last minute. And I got talked into playing the gamma bomb for the first time. You know, everyone was like, love it or hate it, but I didn't have the gauntlet, and everyone was either playing the gauntlet or the gamma bomb, and I did not bring my gauntlet. So I was like, what the heck, I'll play the gamma bomb. And I will have to say that it was probably more of a hindrance for me than it was on my opponents. It did go off a couple times and it did some damage, but not as much as, you know, it could have. And it pretty much restricted me for all of my matches because I would not even go pretty much more than 6 squares away from my starting area until that thing blew up. I did do pretty good with this team, the teams that I did face, because there was 22 teams in the tournament, so you know there was going to be a lot of stuff, and for only 3 matches they're going to be like 2 undefeated teams. And I was fortunate enough to actually be one of the undefeated teams. I was not able to get enough points to get first place, but you know, I was happy with this team. The main thing here was just the amount of support figures I had, and the outwit and the prob, and you know, some of the Beast Boys switching into the cheetah form with a couple perplexes. You know, that's a really nice, effective hypersonic, especially with Johnny Quick. Cypher really was kind of a non-factor other than his, you know, perplex, because most of the people that I played did not have team abilities that were beneficial to me. So yeah, I mean, it was a pretty effective team. I would have to say in all 3 of my matches, Psycho Pirate was the MVP with his -2 perplex. By far was crippling on a 0 range team. It just worked really, really well. There was a few instances where he was going to get in-capped and do damage that way, but the rolls were not successful, and fortunate enough for me because it would have been really bad. But you know, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But yeah, this team worked out really well, and yeah, I was pretty happy going 3-0, getting 2nd place. But you know, really, really fun team, 500 points, 0 range. So the second event we had was a sealed event with 2 boosters, 500 points. Make the best team and compete it out. For Hulk and Superman, I'm lacking quite a bit, and that is the JSA Magog, not the KC one. So my highest point figure was the Doomsday at 189, and I chose not to use the back row. I did not use Aim Agent, Element Woman, or Doomsday. So I actually did have a lot of figures. I had Matter Eater Lad, Matt Murdock, JSA Magog, Shauna, Lois Lane Superwoman, Thundra, and She-Hulk. The only thing that I thought that might be beneficial for this team is the sheer amount of figures that I had. I thought maybe that could give me an edge because some of these people are going to have 2 Superman or Black Bolt, Darkseid, and you know, they might only have 3, 4 figures. I might be able to outmaneuver them. But the thing is, I had about one move and attack character, and that was with She-Hulk. And this tournament did really, really poor. And it wasn't that this team did not perform very well, it was just I was not able to win any matches. I got 0-3. The first match I was cleared, but I took out everybody but a full point, 200 point super girl. I was able to take out Cyborg Superman and a 150 point Superman with this team, but I was not able to finish off the full point 200 point Supergirl. She was down to her about third final click, so it did all right, but it was not able to win that one. Second match was when I was in my match where I was almost kicked out of the event because security guards were checking wristbands, and I didn't have a wristband because we were told that we did not have to pay to get into the room. So I decided that I wasn't going to buy a wristband to get into the convention. I thought, you know, why spend money on that when I'm not going to go in there? And if I don't need to have a wristband to get into the gaming part, why bother, right? I'm not going to leave the gaming part. Well, supposedly there was some mixed information and I almost got kicked out, and the people that I came with almost got kicked out, but it got sorted out, or the security guard just gave up. We were able to finish our games and the rest of the night, but yeah, it was a pretty bad moment there for that second game, so that really ruined that game. And then the third game I just was not able to roll very well and wasn't able to win that one either, but you know, solid, but just did not work out very well. Now on to the third and final tournament. It was a single booster draft where you open your booster and then you pass the rest on. I picked Captain America. My first figure was Supreme Scientist. Then I got Black Tarantula. Then I got Dirk Anger. Then Hope. And then I had the Hydra Agent. This team totaled 321 points. It was the lowest team in the tournament. Really bad luck with this. The highest point, I believe, was around 900 points, and you were allowed to play all of the figures that you pulled. So basically, I had to compete with all different types of range of points, and this team was the lowest. The first match I went up against a team that was in the 500 point range, and he would go on record saying that he underestimated this team right off the bat, and I would have to say I wouldn't blame him, because there's not a lot on this team that looks very threatening right off the bat. Yes, you have Perplex and Outwit, and then you have one running shot and a charger, but the charger's only 40 points and Black Tarantula is running shot, and it doesn't look overly that aggressive with a 10 attack and 6 range. And he had figures like the Earth 1 Superman, Bizarro, Lex Luthor, a Punisher, and I think one other figure that I can't think off the top of my back. And it was a really good match, and I was able to take out a few figures, and he was able to start taking out some few figures. And at the end of the match, the time went out, and all I had left was Dirk Anger, and I was done. I mean, I was getting beat up the whole round. I was able to take out figures, but I actually ended up winning because I was able to take out more points than he was able to take out, just because my team was so low on points. And I was able to take out the Earth 1 Superman and Punisher and another figure I can't remember, but it was enough to get me like 20 points more than he got. And we were both sitting there in shock that this team actually won the match, and it was just insane. And I mean, towards the end, he was able to just start knocking my figures out because he realized, like, oh, you know, I got Bizarro, let's push him. And, you know, he was able to get right on Lex Luthor at the last second on Hypersonic. If he would have had like one other turn, he would have been able to Hypersonic and knocked out Dirk Anger. So it was just by chance that I was able to win that first round, and it was a really big shock because by the lowest points. And I was like, wow, I just can't believe I did that. Second round was another match. It was another team around about 400 points, so it was a little bit closer. The team I went up against was Abomination, Doc Samson, AIM Agent, Invisible Kid, and Sunboy. One major thing on all my matches, Hope and Black Tarantula, between the Perplexes I was able to give them and the Outwits, they were able to hit every time on their first hit, especially with Hope, because I would always grab a heavy object, perplex up her attack or damage, and then outwit damage reducers. And for 40 points, you're getting an economical 4 or 5 damage, and that really makes up for the low points there. And if you knock her out, you're only getting 40 points. A major thing in the match was when Abomination hit Black Tarantula with a heavy object and got him on his double power action move. And when I got there, I did the double power action move, which gives you the ability to use blades, and then after that you move automatically breaking away, and then you can make a range attack. So I roll, I hit, I roll for blades, I roll a 6, and then I had Scientist Supreme outwit defense, and then so that's a 6 on blades, and then I roll and shoot, and then I crit missed. But that was enough to get Abomination down really far. So I could have probably taken out Abomination in that one move because of that double power action, but it didn't fully knock him out, but it sure did a lot. Before that, it was looking kind of pretty even, but when you can do 6 damage like that, it was really tough. And then in my third match, I actually lost. It was to another 500 point team. I was doing pretty good up until my dice started going really cold and I wasn't able to hit a 15. And that was against Hulk Robot, Gorgon, Richard Frisk, and Bruno, and Earthman. And that was pretty much, you know, back and forth here and there. I was able to start taking out some people with taking out Bruno, and that was basically the only guy I was able to take out, but I had Gorgon on his last click and Richard also on his last click, but then I was not able to finish them off, and then eventually Robot Hulk was able to get base with me. I totally left him alone. I knew my team was gonna have to deal with him at the end instead of dealing with him earlier, but it picked away my team. This team was very surprising. Dirk Anger is a pretty solid figure, and Scientist Supreme is a solid figure with, you know, self-perplex because she's the only scientist on this team, and she's got outwit, and Dirk has perplex. And then, you know, you got a little bit of charge with Hope, and you got run and shot with Black. And then the Hydra Agent was really mainly going to be for tie-up and defense modifiers down a little bit there on some of the range attacks. But that was really mainly that. For overall, the tournaments were really fun, and I had a blast. And yeah, thanks for watching my video. And if anyone was at MegaCon, give me a little shout out. It was awesome meeting you. And yeah, have a good day, guys.